Hello, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. We're glad you're here. You know spring is coming, but unfortunately all you can do is walk around the outside of the church until we get to go inside again. But if you want to let us know more about you and find out more about us, you can try our website, uutarpon.org. We'd love to see you and find out more about you.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs, located in the heart of the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and known as the home of the Innes paintings. We are a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. I'm Reverend Kristina Spaude, minister here of UUCTS. I'm glad you are here. I hope that you find meaning in today's service. Please consider joining us on a Sunday morning when we gather to worship as a community every week beginning at 10:30 a.m. on Zoom, or drop in for a more personal visit to one of our coffee hours starting at 11:30 on Sundays on Zoom. If you are new to the area or just learning about Unitarian Universalism, we'd love to meet you in one of our newcomer discussions, which are held on the second Sunday of each month at 12:15. Please refer to our website for information about how to connect with us on Zoom. Our service associate will now begin today's service. Let us enter this sacred time with open minds and open hearts.
Welcome and greetings, dear friends. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs and our virtual service. We are so glad that you have found us this day. My name is Betty Lou Cummins, and I am pleased to be your service associate today. We offer a warm welcome to all who are with us in our virtual reality. We are a church of many welcomes. I welcome you now, and I hope that we can greet you in person on a future pandemic-free day at our location in Tarpon Springs. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe in the worth and dignity of each human being. Each person on earth has an equal claim to life, liberty, and justice, and no idea, ideal, or philosophy is superior to a single human life. We welcome all thoughtful people to journey through life's mystery with us. We want to walk with you on the way of holiness and happiness, justice and service. We hope that you feel the blessings of love through our time in our presence. As a congregation, we seek to create a diverse and accepting community based on the principles of our faith, Unitarian Universalism. And we are drawn together in voluntary loyalty. We believe that we need not think alike to love alike. Our message today will be brought to us by our very own Reverend Kristina Spaude, and the musical portion of the service will be provided by our musical director, Bonnie Whitehurst, and our story for all ages by our very own Jami Cruz, our faith formation specialist. We come now to our chalice lighting. At this hour, in small towns and big cities, in single rooms and ornate sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith. May this dancing flame inspire us to fill our lives with the Unitarian Universalist ideals of love, justice, and truth.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe and taking care of themselves. So today we are reading a book regarding integrity. So integrity is about, doing the right thing even when it's hard or when no one is looking. It's about being honest, respectful, generating trust, pride, showing responsibility, keeping promises, helping others, and so many more things. But today we are reading a book called The Bad Seed. This book is about a seed that chooses to be bad, but then all of a sudden he just wants to be a good seed. So let's go ahead and start. So the title is The Bad Seed, and here you can see him. He has a little grin, a little mean grin. And so it's written by Jory John and illustrated by Pete Oswald. We got some cool little pictures in there. Bad seed. I'm sorry, there's a helicopter in the air, so if you hear a helicopter, it says, I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. Oh yes, it's true. The other seeds, they look at me and they say, that seed is so bad. When they think I'm not listening, they mumble, there goes a bad seed. But I can hear them. I have good hearing for a seed. How bad am I? You really want to know? I think I want to know. Well, I never put things back where they belong. I'm late to everything. I tell long jokes with no punchlines. I never wash my hands, but I hope everyone is washing their hands, or my feet. I lie about pointless stuff. I cut in line every time. You guys see the pictures well? I stare at everybody. I glare at everybody. I finish everybody's sentences and I never listen. And I do lots of other bad things too. Know why? Because I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. I just can't help it. Sure, I wasn't always this bad. I was born a humble seed on a simple sunflower in an unremarkable field. I had a big family, seeds everywhere. We found ways of having fun. We were close. There's seeds, they're playing trumpets, guitars, maracas. Everybody's having just so much fun. But then the petals dropped and our flower dropped. It's kind of a blur. I remember a bag. The bag said sunflower seeds, delicious. Everything went dark. And then a giant. That's a person eating sunflower seeds at a baseball game. Very, very popular. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was done for. I screamed and I hollered, ah! But I was spit out at the last possible second. I flew through the air and I landed under the bleachers with a huge thud. When I woke up, it was dark outside. A wad of gum had softened my fall. I felt okay, but something had changed in me. I became a different seed entirely. I'd become a bad seed. A bad seed. That's right. I stopped smiling. I kept to myself. I drifted. I was friend to nobody and bad to everybody. I was lost on purpose. I lived inside a soda can. I didn't care and it suited me. Until recently, I've made a big decision. I've decided I don't want to be a bad seed anymore. I'm ready to be happy. It's hard to be good when you're so used to being bad, but I'm trying. I'm taking it one day at a time. Sure, I still forget to listen, and I still show up late, and I still talk during movies, and I do all kinds of other bad stuff. But I also say thank you, and I say please, and I smile, and I hold doors open for people, not always, but sometimes. And even though I still feel bad sometimes, I also feel kind of good. It's sort of a mix. All I can do is keep trying and keep thinking, maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all. Hey, look, there goes that bad seed. Actually, he's not all that bad anymore. Then he says, I heard that. So the seed had a rough past, and that's why he became a bad seed, but he didn't want to be bad anymore, so he chose to do the right thing. So this book, I believe, is a book about transformative power of will, acceptance, and just being you.
Within the shining of a star, we catch the glimpse of who we are. In every infant born we see the hope of our nativity. The miracle of each new birth can shake and save the stony earth. Triumphantly, the newborns cry, Our reading today comes from Jan Richardson, who is a favorite author, minister, and artist of mine. This piece is called Rend Your Heart for Ash Wednesday. Even now, says the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning. Rend your hearts and not your clothing. That comes from Joel chapter 2, verses 12 and 13. To receive this blessing, all you have to do is let your heart break. Let it crack open. Let it fall apart so you can see its secret chambers, the hidden spaces where you have hesitated to go. Your entire life is here, inscribed whole upon your heart's walls. Every path taken or left behind, every face you turned toward or turned away, every word spoken in love or in rage, every line of your life you would prefer to leave in shadow, every story that shimmers with treasures known and those you have yet to find. It could take you days to wander these rooms, 40 at least. And so let this be a season for wandering, for trusting the breaking, for tracing the rupture that will return you to the one who waits, who watches, who works within the rending to make your heart whole. acceptable time. Now is the acceptable time. Turn away from sin and be faithful to the gospel. Remember you are dust, and to dust you will return.
It's time for the offering for the work and the welfare of this church. Please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click on the donate button. Or please send your checks to 57 Reed Street. The entire address is right there on your screen. And thank you.
There is a strength that comes with loving and knowing you will die, and you can see it in the eyes of those who remember and who still refuse to love any less than with their whole selves, reads the print from Story People. This last week saw the celebration, such as it was, of Mardi Gras, and then the honoring of Ash Wednesday. If you are having a weird sense of deja vu, it is likely in part because the depravity so associated with Lent is how we who believe in community have been following guidelines, have been living since Lent last year. As someone who was raised unchurched, but still obviously surrounded by Christian practices, thoughts, and culture, I decided in seminary to explore some of the liturgical seasons, like Lent and Advent. At first glance, and undoubtedly in some traditions, Lent has the feel of, well, impending death, but in the saddest possible way. That says a lot about how our culture thinks of being introspective or engaging with death and our need for punishment. But that's not its whole intent. While many experience Lent as a time of giving up, especially as children, it is more than that. Lent is a time of intentionally making space. One way to do this can be to give something up. Another perspective is that we shift our priorities. Lent is about focusing our energy on our spiritual relationships and deepening our senses of wonder and faith. In an excerpt from Ash Wednesday and Lent, Beginning Again Always by Sister Joan Chittister, she has written, Lent is a call to weep for what we could have been and are not. Lent is the grace to grieve for what we should have done and did not. Lent is the opportunity to change what we ought to change and have not. Lent is not about penance. Lent is about becoming and doing and changing whatever it is that is blocking the fullness of life in us right now. Lent is a summons to live anew. Lent is the time to let life in again, to rebuild the worlds we've allowed to go sterile, to fast and weep and mourn for the goods we've foregone. If our own lives are not to die from lack of nourishment, we must sacrifice the pride or the sloth or the listlessness that blocks us from beginning again. I'm sure most of us feel like the last thing we need is more Lent right now, that we've had all the time that we've needed to figure things out. But have we? For a variety of reasons, I've been thinking a lot about individualism versus collectivism or individual versus community for the last few weeks. I watched a conversation between Black authors Ijeoma Oluo and Didi Delgado. And at one point in the conversation, Oluo noted that she's interested in societal change, not individual redemption. And it occurred to me in that moment that white folks like me have encultured ourselves to focus on individualism to such an extent that our understandings of communities and collectives are completely distorted. So much so that we seem unable to appreciate the value of a community apart from what it can do for us at a given time. For example, many of us who don't know much about Lent know that it's a time when those who keep Lenten practices don't eat meat. During the time that this tradition arose, do you know what wasn't as plentifully available in the late winter, early springtime? Meat. It also doesn't keep a long time, and so it was consumed along with dairy products to reduce waste and allow the community to focus their energy on those couple of months before spring came. Lent is a liturgical season, one part of the Christian calendar. It is preceded by Mardi Gras, also known as Shrove Tuesday, which is the peak in some traditions of the season of Carnival, a centuries-old European Christian tradition celebrated by Protestants, Catholics, and some Orthodox that was a reversal ritual. Lent ends, of course, with Easter, with Jesus's death and then resurrection. And so while it is a period of introspection and reflection, it is one piece of a cycle of celebration and mourning. These are not casual bookends to mark time and the beginning and ending of seasons and rituals. Carnival was a time of great indulgence of food, including meat and dairy, as well as alcohol, pastries, and baked goods, and of communal celebration. Social satire and mockery of authorities, as well as disease and death, were aspects of this celebration. People wore costumes and pretended to be of higher or lower social standing, or dressed as exaggerated bodily parts, poking fun at the absurdity, uncertainty, and constantly changing nature of our lives. Carnival was a community celebration and brought some level of social unity. People's lives were connected in intimate ways. They worked together, traded with each other, celebrated and mourned together, all in a shared community. And because of this, there was a stronger sense of the connections between them. They knew that in good times and in bad, they would likely be there for each other. There was no profiting off each other as there is now, because they knew that if they were in need, the community would be there as best it could. And so when we look at Lent then, it is a turning inward, an exploration of potential in our lives, both as individuals and as one of a community. We are bound to each other, interdependent in ways we still do not fully know or understand, but are struck by over and over. When we think this is all about me or between the individual and God only, we leave out another important party, the community. Because whatever our own relationship with God, we need to be in community. And the community also has a part in our lives. And to deny this is foolish, selfish, and irresponsible. Part of what makes the inner work we do so valuable is to learn how to be better with each other. We need each other, and we always will. The work we do on and with ourselves teaches us how to be in better relationship. Having more compassion for ourselves helps us understand how to be more compassionate with others. Taking the time to reflect on, process, and heal from our pains, our wounds, our failures helps us learn the tools to be present to another going through such things. Spending time grieving our losses when we didn't know better shows us how to be better and to have more tenderness with ourselves and others. Many journeys into the self have similar outcomes. People may feel wholly transformed, but they at least likely feel that they are the most themselves that they have ever been. Self-work brings realization of our limits, our growing edges, and our strengths. It also brings, hopefully, humility, deeper authenticity, and humanity. Awareness of ourselves in our fullness, one of the spiritual practices Lent invites us to cultivate, can give us the strength to act with integrity. That is, to act in a way that aligns with our morals, values, and beliefs. Remember, you are dust, and to dust you shall return, is a blessing and prayer offered to each who receives the imposition of ashes on Ash Wednesday. These words remind us of our mortality, the limits of a human life. For some, they also remind us of our failings, our shortcomings, of the possibilities that were not considered or pursued. The ashes are about the bareness of life. If we were stripped of all the worldly things, as Sister Chittister says, that hold us back, keep us from being open, prevent us from connecting between and among, if all of that was taken away, then who would we be? And to repeat a question from last week's Side with Love Sunday service, how would love call us forward in that moment? What about in this moment? Whiteness tells us that this is all personal failures, sins for which we must repent. that perhaps we bear shame that we must seek forgiveness for, that we must take our responsibility and turn it to God. But when we skip out of our interrelatedness, as if our connections with each other within community do not exist or don't matter, we fail again because we have failed each other. We have failed to care for our neighbors as ourselves, care for our neighbors as if our very lives depended on it, as they do. Lent helps us connect deeply with our humanity. It's a way for us to grieve, not the performative grieving or grieving that comes when we experience a major loss, like a loved one. It can feel similarly, but it's not expected in the same way. This is a time when we can grieve for the things we hadn't grown to see, the ways we were harmed or caused harm. Lent invites us to do that inward searching and notice what it brings up. It invites us to hold those things, to love them, and to let them go, or let them shape us as they will. Lent reminds us that although the journey we take is ours alone, we journey better with others. While Lent is part of a ritual and comes year after year, this is what also gives us new opportunities to learn and see what comes up for us. And when we are in it, it's helpful to remember both that it is for a short time, about 6 weeks, but also that we cannot be expecting what comes at the end. That's the mystery of it and why practicing can bring so much. We don't know the outcome. We have to let go of our expectations of what will be on the other side and just be in it. And when we can do this, we ourselves can appreciate more fully the joy and awe of a life resurrected, not someone else's, but our own. And when we practice in community, we can all celebrate this new life, these new awarenesses we've had together. Lent brings us back to the core of who we are, to our beliefs and values. The 6 weeks can seem like a long time, but I think part of its beauty is that it gives us the opportunity to not only realize things, but then to practice acting on them. And this is where the transformative power of Lent is, in that practicing. With humility and honesty, with integrity, with humanity. We can focus our energy on what's most important, both to ourselves and our community. Remember that we are made of the stuff of the earth and the stars, that we do best when we are grounded and our hearts shine bright. I'm going to close the sermon rereading the Jan Richardson piece I used earlier. This time, I invite you to listen not only for what speaks to you, but also for the way that it can speak to us as a community. To receive this blessing, all you have to do is let your heart break. Let it crack open. Let it fall apart so you can see its secret chambers, the hidden spaces where you have hesitated to go. Your entire life is here, inscribed whole upon your heart's walls. Every path taken or left behind, every face you turned toward or turned away, every word spoken in love or in rage, every line of your life you would prefer to leave in shadow, every story that shimmers with treasures known and those you have yet to find. It could take days for you to wander these rooms, 40 at least. And so let this be a season for wandering, for trusting the breaking, for tracing the rupture that will return you to the one who waits, who watches, who works within the rending to make your heart whole.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dreams and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
And our closing words today come from Jean Harrison Newyar. She has written in The Gift of Faith. In the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue journeying forward, letting your heart break open on this path, this road called hope with me.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
I hope that you found meaning in today's service. Again, I invite you to consider joining us sometime on Sunday morning when we gather for worship as a community. The service starts at 10:30 a.m. on Zoom. You are also welcome to drop into our Zoom room coffee hour any Sunday at 11:30 for friendly conversation. If you are new to the area or just learning about Unitarian Universalism, we'd love to meet you in one of our newcomer discussions, which are held on the second Sunday of each month at 12:15. Please refer to our website for more information on how to connect with us on Zoom. If you use the Connect Online button, it will take you directly to any of our activities. We look forward to meeting you.